A world once shaped by a stable, US-led global order is now undergoing profound upheaval, and according to Fiona Hill, former top Russia advisor to President Donald Trump, that transformation has been accelerated, if not triggered, by Trump's unorthodox and often confrontational foreign policy. For decades after World War II, American leadership was built on a foundation of alliances, institutions, and multilateral engagement. NATO, the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, all of these were part of a broader structure that ensured US influence while promoting relative global stability. But during Trump's presidency, Hill argues, that carefully built architecture began to fracture. His foreign policy, she suggests, wasn't just improvisational, it was a deliberate challenge to the very principles that defined American diplomacy for generations. Trump questioned the value of NATO, calling it obsolete, and frequently clashed with long-standing allies over defense spending and trade. His approach to international summits, like the G7 and G20, often turned confrontational, signaling a new era of transactional diplomacy where loyalty and norms were secondary to personal alignment and perceived strength. Perhaps most striking was his behavior with authoritarian leaders. Trump publicly praised figures like Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and even Xi Jinping, often expressing admiration for their strength and control while showing disdain for the constraints of democratic alliances. At the 2018 Helsinki summit, he appeared to side with Putin over US intelligence agencies on the question of Russian election interference, a moment that Hill and many others view as a symbolic break from traditional American values. According to Hill, this wasn't mere rhetoric. It reflected a worldview in which America retreats from global responsibility, leaving rivals free to step into the vacuum. China has been expanding its influence through infrastructure investment and military projection, while Russia has grown more aggressive in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Hill warns that by pulling back, the US has allowed the post-Cold War balance to shift, one where democracies are increasingly fragmented and authoritarian regimes are emboldened. She believes we are now in a liminal phase, no longer living in the familiar post-World War II order, yet not fully prepared for what's replacing it. The consequences, she argues, are not theoretical. Global trust in American leadership has declined. Strategic alliances are fraying. Countries that once relied on US commitment to international law are hedging their bets, forming new blocs and seeking security guarantees elsewhere. Meanwhile, the internal divisions within America, magnified by Trump's combative rhetoric, have weakened the country's ability to project unity and resolve abroad. Hill points out that Trump's foreign policy reflected his broader view of the world as a zero-sum game, where every agreement is a loss unless someone else loses more. This mindset, she claims, undermined not only US credibility but also the idea that cooperation and shared values can lead to mutual benefit. In Hill's view, the damage is deep and long-lasting. Even if subsequent administrations seek to restore traditional diplomacy, the world has seen what a radically different US approach can look like, and many nations are now planning for a future where American leadership is uncertain, inconsistent, or even absent. As new power centers rise and existing institutions struggle to adapt, the international community faces a stark question: can the rules-based order survive without US stewardship? Or are we entering a more chaotic, multipolar era defined by instability and great power rivalry? Fiona Hill's assessment is sobering. She suggests we are not witnessing a temporary deviation, but a lasting transformation. The post-war consensus may be over, and with it, the assumption that the United States will always lead by example. What comes next, she warns, will depend not only on elections and policy shifts in Washington, but on how the world chooses to respond to this new geopolitical reality.